Athena sat at the helm of her empire, a sleek, minimalist office perched atop the highest skyscraper of New York. The city, a sprawling, chaotic organism, stretched out before her, a canvas of human endeavor and folly. She was its architect, its puppet master, pulling invisible strings that dictated the rhythm of its existence. From this height, she was a goddess. Not in the mythical, ethereal sense, but in the cold, calculated power she wielded. Her name was synonymous with intellect, with technology, with an unyielding pursuit of perfection. The world called her a visionary, a titan of industry. They did not see the ancient goddess, the patron of wisdom and strategic warfare, burning bright within her. Her eyes, a piercing shade of gray, scanned the city. It was a puzzle to be solved, a problem to be optimized. Every blinking light, every rushing car was a data point, a piece of the grand equation she was constantly recalculating. She was the mind behind the machine, the Athena who had traded the Aegis for algorithms. Below, Zeus was basking in a different kind of glory. His face, tanned and perpetually grinning, dominated billboards and television screens. Zeus, the king of gods, had reinvented himself as the king of reality TV. His empire was built on spectacle, on manufactured drama, on the insatiable human appetite for the absurd. He was a paradox, a being of immense cosmic power cloaked in the shallowest of veneers. His laughter was as loud as thunder, his ego as vast as the sky, but beneath it all, there lurked a cunning intelligence, a manipulator of hearts and minds. He was the Zeus of old, but updated for the age of social media, trading the thunderbolt for a Twitter handle. In the subterranean depths of the city, Hades presided over a different kind of kingdom. His was a world of shadows, of hidden deals and darker desires. He was the CEO of a sprawling conglomerate, a financial behemoth that controlled the world's resources. But his empire extended far beyond balance sheets. He was the god of the underworld, and his domain was as vast and mysterious as the depths of the earth. His office was a cavernous space, dimly lit, with walls adorned by abstract art that hinted at a darker world. His face was etched with lines of power and experience. He was a man of few words, but his silence carried a weight that could shatter mountains. He was the Hades of myth, but modernized, a titan of industry who wielded influence as subtly as death. The three of them, gods in disguise, were locked in an eternal dance of power. Athena sought knowledge and control, Zeus craved adoration and influence, and Hades desired dominion and order. Their ambitions were as vast as the cosmos, their methods as intricate as the human soul. And yet, for all their power, they were bound by the same frailties as mortals. Athena's isolation, Zeus's vanity, Hades' obsession. These were the chinks in their armor, the vulnerabilities that could be exploited. Unbeknownst to them, a storm was brewing. A young woman, ordinary in every way, was about to stumble upon their secret world. Her name was Kira, and she was about to become the catalyst for a cosmic showdown. Kira worked as a junior journalist for a mid-tier news website, sifting through the mundane to find the extraordinary. Her curiosity was her superpower, and she had a knack for sniffing out stories that others overlooked. A string of seemingly unrelated events had caught her attention: the sudden collapse of a tech startup, the inexplicable rise of a new celebrity, and the mysterious death of a financier who had it all. As she dug deeper, the threads began to weave together, hinting at something much larger, much more ancient than she could ever have imagined. The undertones grew louder, the connection stronger, and soon she found herself tracing the digital footprints of gods. Athena, Zeus, and Hades had never considered the possibility of a mere mortal uncovering their existence. They watched her from afar, amused by her tenacity, yet wary of the potential threat she posed. They were not the gods of old, who reveled in the adoration of their worshippers. They were the gods of the new world, who craved power and anonymity. The first time Kira's name appeared on their radar, they dismissed her as a conspiracy theorist, a fleck of dust in the grand tapestry of their lives. But as she continued to unravel their secrets, they grew increasingly concerned. Athena sent her a warning, a subtle reminder of her mortality. Zeus offered her a deal, a taste of his world in exchange for her silence. And Hades? Hades simply watched, his eyes gleaming with a silent promise of what awaited those who dared to meddle in the affairs of deities. But Kira was not so easily swayed. She was driven by a sense of justice, a fiery spark that burned brighter with every clue she uncovered. The gods had underestimated her, and as she stood on the precipice of the truth, she knew she had a responsibility to share it with the world. The day she published her article, the city held its breath. The skies above New York darkened, a prelude to the storm that was about to break. Athena's screens flickered with the news, Zeus's heart skipped a beat, and Hades's fingers tightened around his crystal paperweight. The game had changed, and the gods had a new player to contend with. Kira's article was a digital bombshell, rippling through the internet faster than Hermes could sprint. The city buzzed with whispers of ancient gods walking among them, and suddenly, everyone was looking up at the gleaming towers with suspicion. Athena's first impulse was to crush this pesky gnat with a flick of her digital finger. But as she read through the meticulously researched piece, she couldn't help but admire the girl's intellect. It was a challenge she hadn't encountered in centuries. She called an emergency meeting with Zeus and Hades in her office, the first time the three had come together in decades. Zeus strutted in, his hair perfectly coiffed, his smile as bright as 1,000 suns. "This is quite the kerfuffle, Athena," he said, leaning back in his chair. "A bit of drama never hurt anyone, but this could be bad for our brand." Hades, ever the pragmatist, remained silent, his eyes scanning the article on his tablet. "We need to control the narrative," he murmured, his gaze flicking up to meet hers. "We can't have mortals questioning our existence." The room was thick with tension, the air charged like before a lightning strike. Athena steepled her fingers, her mind racing. "We'll need to deal with her," she said finally, "but not with brute force. We must be strategic." Their conversation was interrupted by the door bursting open. A flash of lightning and a clap of thunder heralded the arrival of Hermes, the messenger god, who looked flustered. "The mortal,
Kira."
she's gone missing," he panted, handing Athena a USB stick. This was all she left behind. The USB stick contained a video message from Kira. She looked straight into the camera, her eyes burning with determination. "If anything happens to me, know that the truth is out there," she said. "I've sent copies of my findings to everyone who needs to know. And I'm not the only one looking." The screen went dark, leaving the gods staring at each other in disbelief. They had underestimated her, and now she had become a beacon for those seeking to bring them down. The storm had only just begun. Athena's expression grew steely. "We must find her before she causes any more damage," she said, the coldness in her voice sending a shiver down Hermes' spine. "Assemble the pantheon. We need to act swiftly and decisively." With a nod, Hermes disappeared in a blur of speed, his winged sandals leaving traces of light on the marble floor. Zeus leaned back in his chair, a smug grin playing on his lips. "I have a few acquaintances in the mortal world who might be of use," he offered, stroking his chin. Hades, the brooding strategist, simply nodded. "And I will activate my network in the shadows. We will find her, and we will contain this." The gods dispersed, each returning to their respective domains, the wheels of their ancient machinations beginning to turn once more. They had played this game before, but never with a mortal who had the audacity to challenge them so openly. Meanwhile, in the bowels of the city, Kira sat in a cramped, dimly lit room, surrounded by screens and cables. Her heart raced as she watched the digital world react to her article. She knew she was being hunted, but she had friends in high places, or rather, in the darkest of places. The hacker collective she had stumbled upon had promised her protection, a group of cyber warriors who had dedicated their lives to fighting against the invisible hands that controlled the world. They had seen the gods' manipulations firsthand, and they were eager to help bring them down. Kira's fingers danced over the keyboard, planting seeds of doubt and discord in the digital realm. Each keystroke was a declaration of war against the immortal powers that be. She had no idea what the outcome would be, but she knew she couldn't stand by and watch as the world burned for their amusement. As the city above descended into chaos, with the gods' secrets spilling into the public consciousness, the stage was set for a battle that would shake the very foundations of existence. Athena's empire of knowledge, Zeus's realm of media, and Hades' shadowy network of power were about to collide with the unstoppable force of a single mortal's determination. The storm clouds gathered, the thunder rumbled, and the gods prepared for the ultimate showdown. But little did they know, Kira had a trick up her sleeve, a secret weapon that could change the course of history. As the rain began to fall, she whispered into her microphone, "The time of the gods is over. Prepare for the dawn of a new era." Her voice echoed through the digital underground, reaching the ears of the forgotten and the forsaken. The message spread like wildfire, igniting a spark of rebellion in the hearts of those who had suffered under the gods' whims. Athena's screens flickered with the beginnings of a revolution, Zeus's ratings plummeted as his viewers turned against him, and Hades felt the tremors of a power shift in his shadowy realm. The gods' minions, once unshakable in their loyalty, began to question their masters. The digital soldiers of Athena's empire turned rogue, leaking information that painted their leader in a harsh, unflattering light. Zeus's reality TV empire faced a backlash of epic proportions, with celebrities and influencers distancing themselves from the tainted brand. And Hades' underworld of wealth and power trembled as whispers of betrayal reached his ears. The pantheon, once a unified force, descended into chaos. Athena's cold logic was no match for the passion Kira had ignited in the hearts of the people. Zeus's charm had lost its luster, and Hades' silent dominance was unraveling at the seams. They had become too complacent in their modern lives, too comfortable in their thrones of steel and glass. The young journalist had done the unthinkable. She had turned the gods' own tools against them. Athena's algorithms now spread the truth. Zeus's media empire was a beacon of dissent, and Hades' underworld was a breeding ground for rebellion. As the storm raged on, it was clear that the world had changed, forever altered by the actions of one mortal woman. And in the eye of this digital hurricane, Kira stood firm, a modern-day David facing her Goliaths. She knew the risks, knew the gods would not go quietly into the night. But she had seen the cracks in their armor, the weaknesses in their strategies. And she knew that together, the people had the power to topple even the mightiest of gods. The battle lines were drawn, the pawns in place. The gods of old had met their match in the digital age, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. As the storm clouds parted, revealing the gleaming spire of Athena's skyscraper, the city held its breath. The final act of this ancient drama was about to unfold, and it would be a performance the world would never forget. Athena, her eyes narrowed, watched the chaos unfold from her high-tech sanctum. The screens around her flickered with the frenetic energy of the digital world she had mastered. Yet, she felt a flicker of doubt, a whisper of fear. This mortal had outwitted her, had turned her own creations against her. Her mind raced, calculating moves and countermoves, seeking a way to restore order to the chaos. Zeus, his smile now a grimace, paced the floor of his gold-plated penthouse, his once worshipped image tarnished by scandal. His reality show empire was in ruins, his social media feeds a disharmony of anger and accusation. The mortals had turned on him, and he could feel the power slipping from his grasp like sand through his fingers. Yet, in his arrogance, he could not accept defeat. Hades, the ever-watchful, emerged from the shadows of his corporate lair, his eyes alight with a new-found fire. He had seen empires crumble, had felt the weight of the world shift on its axis. This was not the end, but a new beginning. He knew the depths of human greed and fear, and he would use them to his advantage. Kira, meanwhile, was a whirlwind of activity, her makeshift command center buzzing with the energy of the dispossessed. They were her soldiers, her voice, and together they had brought the gods to their knees. Yet, she knew that this was just the start. There was so much more to uncover, so much more to expose. The gods gathered their strength, marshaling their remaining forces. Athena's mind raced, crafting a new narrative, a digital labyrinth to ensnare Kira and silence her once and for all. Zeus called upon the power of his lightning, ready to strike down his detractors with a single, spectacular blow. And Hades? Hades was already moving his pieces, laying the groundwork for the next phase of his master plan. The city of New York had become a battleground, a stage for the gods' last stand. The air was charged with the electricity of a world on the brink of change. As the storm outside mirrored the tempest within, the gods waited, poised to strike. But they had not anticipated the resilience of the human spirit, the unyielding resolve of a single mortal to bring them to justice. Kira looked out over the city, her heart racing with the excitement of the hunt. She had become more than a journalist. She was a symbol of hope, a beacon in the dark. With the USB stick clutched tightly in her hand, she knew she held the power to shake the very foundations of the world. And as she took a deep breath, she whispered a silent prayer to the gods she had defied. The city held its breath, the gods poised for war, and the digital underworld seethed with anticipation. The final battle was about to begin, a clash of wills that would determine the future of the mortal realm. And in that moment, as the first drops of rain touched the pavement, the world waited for a hero to rise from the shadows, to lead the charge against the immortal oppressors. Hera, the unlikely champion, knew the weight of her responsibility. She had uncovered the truth, and now she had to bring it to light. Her heart pounded as she sent the encrypted message to her network of allies. The response was immediate, a chorus of digital affirmations that reverberated through the ether. The gods had underestimated the power of the truth, and now they would face the consequences. The skies above New York City crackled with the energy of a million screens lighting up with the hashtag gods revealed. Athena's digital fortress was breached, her secrets laid bare for all to see. The people, once entranced by her promises of a perfect world, now saw the cold, calculating deity beneath the veneer. Zeus's charm had become a noose around his neck, his every move scrutinized, his every word dissected. And Hades, the shadowy puppeteer, watched as his strings were cut one by one. The pantheon descended upon the city, their forms a blend of ancient majesty and modern technology. Athena's eyes blazed with the fury of 1,000 suns, Zeus's thunder echoed through the streets, and Hades' shadowy minions emerged from the depths. Yet, as they approached Kira's digital stronghold, they found themselves faced with an army of the awakened. The battle was fierce, a dance of data and lightning, a symphony of chaos and rebellion. Athena's algorithms clashed with the collective might of the hackers, Zeus's storms raged against the digital barriers erected by the mortals, and Hades' ghosts of the internet whispered fear into the hearts of the faithful. In the end, it was not brute force that won the day, but the power of an idea. Hera had sparked a revolution, a movement that transcended the boundaries of the mortal and divine. The gods had been outsmarted, outmatched by a mortal who had harnessed the very essence of humanity, the quest for truth and justice. As the dust settled, the gods retreated, their power waning in the face of the new world order. Athena, Zeus, and Hades were left to contemplate their fall from grace, their reign over the digital age at an end. And as the people of Earth picked up the pieces, they whispered the name of the one who had dared to challenge the gods, Hera, the slayer of shadows, the voice of the voiceless. The city, once a playground for the immortal elite, now stood as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. The gods had been humbled, their secrets laid bare, and the world had been forever changed. But the story was far from over. The ancient rivalries and ambitions of the deities would not be so easily forgotten, and in the shadows, new plots began to take shape. The stage was set for a new chapter in the age-old saga, a tale of gods and mortals, of power and redemption, of love and betrayal. Hera, the girl who had started it all, knew that her work had only just begun. With the USB stick still in her possession, she set out to rebuild, to forge a new path for humanity, one free from the tyranny of the divine. The gods would not rest until they had regained their dominance, and she would not rest until the truth was known by all. The final act of this urban fantasy was just getting started, and the lines between myth and reality had never been more blurred. Athena, Zeus, and Hades would rise again, their stories intertwined with that of a single, unyielding mortal. And in the heart of it all, the question remained: who truly held the power in the digital age, the gods of old or the humans they had sought to control? Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing to stay updated with our latest stories, give us a like if you want to see more, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts.